every young man needs to know some of this thing. You must know that to really be financially successful, you must be strong mentally. Your mind has to be strong, easily emotional. You understand? You have to have strong mind, very strong mind, and you have to have a goal. You need to have a plan. You can't collect salary this week. You just go blow out for club, or you just go spend them anyhow. If you like pleasure so much, you really love enjoying your life. You can't be rich, you can't be financially successful. You understand? You have to be able to say, I'm going to save and invest a particular amount every month. And for you to be financially successful early in life, not when you retire, you need to save and invest a huge chunk of your salary, a huge chunk of your income. I know this is very difficult for some people, it's very difficult for some people, but if let's say you are not earning much, the next thing is not to even save and invest. It's just to increase you have to increase your earning potential. But then when you now increase your earning potential, you have to learn how to save at least half or 50% of yourself. And do this for a period of time. I'm not saying you should not enjoy your life, you understand? But you need to have that mentality. Save, save, invest. Assets. Save, invest, assets. It should be ringing in your head. And the truth is that most people will not do this because it's very abnormal to what most people think. It's very abnormal because everybody wants the way they look at money is something to eat, enjoy, buy stuff, have fun. You need to pay now so that you can play later. Or you can play now or pay later to have saving, investing, assets ringing in your mind. And Robert Kiyosaki said assets are things that put money in your pocket. Yeah, assets put money in your pocket. So you must have the mentality of which asset am I going to do so that it won't be every time I go to work, I will not be exchanging time for dollars or for naira. You understand? A time will come in when my investments or my assets will actually take care of my lifestyle. You understand? So it's very important that you have a savings and investment mentality. There's a reason why most people are not, by the time it's time for retirement, most people are not financially successful or free. It's because, and this is number one reason. Number one reason is that most people cannot delay gratification, unfortunately. Cannot delay gratification. If you have the ability to spend on something now, it doesn't mean you must spend on that thing. It's not a must. You understand? You don't have to buy that stuff. That's why I said you must be very disciplined. It's only for disciplined people. You need to be strong up here. You need to know what you're going for, what you want. You get what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? You need to be strong. You need to know what you want. You need to plan towards that. You need to be able to say no to yourself, no to others. Saying no should be your favorite word. If not, you'll be the next touching story. If everybody is coming to you with their touching story, I'm not saying don't help. You can help, but you have to help with a budget. Black tax is something that affects us all, even myself. You have to even be called stingy. It's better you're called stingy than called broke. You get what I'm saying? So you have to actually have a budget for your you have to have a budget for your charity. You say, okay, this month I'm only going to give out 20,000 naira for charity. Depending on your income, I'm going to give out 50,000 or 100,000 for charity to help people. If you, including your parents and your family, if you have given out that amount of money and any touching story comes, you just tell them that's enough, no more. I think our problem with our generation is that, like I said before, we mistake liabilities for assets. Assets, according to Kiyosaki, are things that put money in your pocket. So assets are like an addition to your portfolio, things that put money in your pocket. And your personal house, your personal house and your cars are not assets unless you're using it to generate income. So people just think, oh, I'll walk, I'll buy a car, I'll buy a house, I'll now flex, I'll now shop. You don't understand how money works. Well, in my next videos, I'll be talking to you about how money works. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll talk about more things. But let me just round up with this. People accumulate a lot of liabilities. You keep accumulating liabilities and you'll be wondering why you'll not be going ahead forward. You'll not be moving forward. You made your first 50M, you go and buy a 50M car. Or you made your first 5M, you go and buy a car. That's the end. Or you used all your money and built a house or bought a house, and you are now stuck financially. You are house um rich but asset poor. So you must have in the back of your mind is very strong. You have to have a strong mind and clearly know the difference between assets and liabilities. You must be ringing your head, savings, investments, assets. Savings, investment, assets. If your own is to enjoy, go to the club, pop bottles. Ha, sorry for you. That to me is not enjoyment. You get what I'm saying? There are many broke people at old age. Let's try not to be like that by the time we reach their age. You understand? You actually should bless your children at old age. Your children should not depend on you, which is another problem we have with African parents. But we'll talk about that later. Okay?